Welcome to the Zodiac Chat Line. I am your host today, and of course, Cassie is always here with me. Cassie girl, how are you?
I am living in this timeline. How are you?
Well, I've already glitched out a couple times, so who knows? We will just see what happens. That's Aries season all day. We just never know. Um, if we gonna be in a group chat randomly. But anyways, um welcome to Aries season. And this Aries season is gonna Aries like it ain't never Aries before. But before we get to that, we do have the sun hanging out in Aries. We will have our new moon on Saturday, March the 29th, really early in the morning. It is a partial solar eclipse, a last eclipse of the Aries Libra eclipses from 2023. I believe that's when it started. So we are finishing some stuff up, y'all. What is it? What we doing?
We're wrapping it up.
Wrapping it up. Okay.
We're wrapping it up.
If it hasn't bared fruit, it's time to go at this point. I mean, or been
Goodbye.
initiated, right? Because we like the cardinal energy of Aries initiation. It's got to rock and roll. Mercury retrograding, of course, there in Aries, but will be direct on the same day as the new moon on the 29th.
No,
So
no.
I'm
It
sorry,
moves
just
back into
kidding.
Pisces
See,
on
glitching,
the 29th.
glitching. Moves back to Pisces. Cassie, you be keeping your own check. Same day we have the new moon. Mercury will actually retrograde from Aries to Pisces. So, easing up that energy a little bit. And it will stay retrograde until the 7th of April when it will go direct again. But we are a long ways from that in this present moment. Venus is also enjoying a retrograde in Aries and will retrograde back to Pisces on the 27th. That will be on Thursday of this week. And Mars is still in Cancer for a little bit longer. Cassie's enjoying that. Psych. I am too, kind of. Jupiter, different placements. Jupiter is in Gemini. We're gonna just ride that out. Saturn is in Pisces. Hopefully your delusions will be grounded at some point. Uranus, of course, in Taurus still. Neptune is in Pisces for just a second longer because Saturday, March the 30th, it will
Sunday.
Sunday. What did I
Sunday.
say? Glitching, y'all, glitching. It's fine. It's also Mercury retrograde, so I expect this to be full of glitches. Sunday, what's worse is it's like actually written down. Sunday, March the 30th, it will move into Aries, and we will delve into that in just a little bit longer because that's going to be an interesting conversation. Pluto, of course, is still in Aquarius, which again, interesting mixture with Neptune over there, and the North Node hanging out in Pisces. So we have had some interesting developments, I think, just in general, with the Mercury and Venus retrograde in Aries. As you said yesterday in our production meeting, it's a little on the nose. Like, interesting.
For the big scandal of Mercury retrograde in Aries to be incompetent politicians accidentally group chatting war plans to the wrong people, like that's just, if you wanted to like make up a macro level example of what Mercury retrograde in Aries would look like, that would be what you would invent. Like
It's almost too on the nose because, of course, Aries is ruled by Mars, god of war, and Mercury ruled by or Gemini and Virgo both ruled by Mercury, our communication. Like Cassie said, nobody could have written it any better. And I just think it's going to get more and more interesting. That's why we always say, double check your stuff before you actually hit send. Even if you think you're on a secure app, like we all know nothing is secure, right? So
and I saw a comedian, I think his name is Matt Nathanson. I'm not 100% sure, but he made the point that like you can't treat the war plan group chat the way you treat your buddy's girlfriend's birthday brunch chat. Like if you see a number you don't recognize in the war plan group chat, you got to speak up. Who's that?
I
Who's
don't think they
JG?
recognize other numbers. I don't think they recognize each
That
other's numbers.
that is what makes you think what? Like, and going to toward the Aries of it all, I think one of Aries' great failings or challenges, it's
Mm-hmm.
not a
Mm-hmm.
failing, but a
Mm-hmm.
challenge, is that they are very, very self-centered. They're very myopic. They're like concerned with them. And like one thing I think you see playing out in US government is there are a lot of characters in there who are used to having main character energy in their own life. And they're not good at paying attention to things that aren't directly their moment to grab the attention. And like it's a group project. Government is a group project, you guys.
Always. It always is.
Like I get there's a lot of ego. People, you know, part of the appeal of getting into a high position like that is the power trip, right? Like even, you know, the best politicians are still guilty of that, but like the good ones still know how to like work with others and pay
Collective and
attention
collaboration.
to at least pay attention to others. Because if you
Finding it.
knew what was good for you, you would realize that paying attention to others also can benefit you because then you can optimize the way you respond. But like, I'm not convinced these people are very smart or good at this.
You know, I don't even want to be convinced.
Nope, I'm not trying
And
to.
I think the most interesting part is I think everybody thought it was a joke. Like, we were discussing, I'm like, y'all, is this real? Because we live in a stage where facts and information can always be modified or explained in a way that sounds better than another way. Um, Direct, matter of factual communication, that hasn't been a thing for a while. Using technology to manipulate or do whatever has really increased. So it's like, is this an Onion article? And it's not, you know, it just feels a little dimension warped.
Well, that's a good place to lead into the discussion of Neptune moving from Pisces because like what we're experiencing now is this very shadow quality of Neptune and Pisces where it's like we don't know what's real, nothing
Mm,
feels real, up is down, black is white, like logic is insanity, like whatever. And we're moving into Neptune and Aries, which is going to be very different energy. What do you what do you what's your take on Neptune and Aries?
None of us were alive the last time Neptune was in Aries. Most of our ancestors were. And at that time, in America, we're just going to discuss America because that's, where we're at. It was the beginning of the American Civil War. And for those of you who may not understand that because your textbooks have changed, that is when the Union, which was represented by a lot of northern states, I think the Mason-Dixon line might have been the border, something like
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
and the South, the Confederates, uh, were at a war basically because of slavery and the rights of the slaves. And there was a battle at Fort Sumter the day after Neptune moved into Aries in 1861. That is what sparked the entire Civil War that lasted basically until 1865, but we had Reconstruction until 1877. So most of the time that Neptune was in Aries, America itself had to figure its identity out again, and that's where you see the beginning of Aries is figuring out their identity. Aries is the beginning of the zodiac. Like Cassie said, they are very self-focused because that's all they know. They have not had any of the further, as you go through the zodiac, each zodiac takes something from the previous one and matures in a way. And Pisces is the last one. So Pisces is the spiritual, mature grand ancestor, basically. And then you start back at Aries, which is a newborn baby. Aries is the first cardinal energy. Their energy is very impulsive. It is not always thought out, and it is very self-serving in a lot of ways because that's how they are learning themselves. And we as a country are learning ourselves, and history, we always like say something like maybe history repeats itself, and it just reimagines what could be or what should be. And Neptune moving into Aries, while it may not be comfortable because we've been chilling, the reality is that we're witnessing a lot of things have to change. We are again divided within the same type of mentality. And we called it, parties, I think back then, because the Republican Party was actually where Abraham Lincoln ran, and he was the one that freed the slaves. And it seems like those parties have swapped. And so the reality is parties actually don't matter, because this is a moral thing. This is a civil rights thing for minorities, because if you don't look white Christian fundamentalist or whatever, very much like one way, you're not a part of it. So this is going to be an interesting 13 years. I hope you're on the right side of it. Okay, that was my speech. Go ahead. Sorry, Cassie. I got carried away.
No, please don't ever be sorry. That I agree with all of that. And
The ancestors were
truth,
talking, girl.
truth. Yeah, it's Neptune being the planet that influences sort of notions, dreams, delusions, imagination, like, and Aries being the first sign of the zodiac that is very conflict oriented. It is ruled by Mars, the god of war, and has this energy of like, think about small children. They test boundaries, they push buttons to see what is acceptable, not just for themselves, but what other people will allow. And that's what we're going to deal with, I think, strongly in the first part of this transit. Because again, going back to the comparison of the last Neptune and Aries period, which was from literally the day after the Civil War started, or the Civil War started the day after, whatever, right there, till it took us almost all the way through Reconstruction. The beginning of that is this like we have to fight through it. We actually have to literally physically battle for what we believe in. What the people have to stand up and say, we're not going to take this, we're not going to let you get away with this. And then we get into this period where it's like, okay, that part of it's done. What do we want to rebuild after this? And actually Reconstruction, if you go back and do some reading from, is an incredibly progressive time, especially compared to what unfortunately comes after that, which is Jim Crow and the sort of crackdown again on Black and brown people in America, because that is the thing we do best here
That's
in the
the theme.
US. That's the theme.
Oppression.
Right, oppression. that's kind of our thing. But fascism is when colonialism happens to white people. That was really like, ooh, well, you're not wrong. But I do think this beginning of this period is really going to be, what are we going to take, and how are we going to respond, and what we need to stay rooted in is collective, because the temptation of Aries energy is to believe you must do it on your own, that you are the only one who is capable of doing it, and that it is, you know, absolutely necessary that you do it your way. And that's not going to work. Like, it's we have to be we have Pluto and Aquarius. So if you take those two things together, those two energies actually complement each other quite well. And if you go back to the Civil War, what you see was that Pluto was in Taurus, which is like not a great complement for Neptune in Aries. It's more selfish energy. Taurus is the next sign up. So like it's not that evolved away from the selfishness. And we're at a point where I think truly a lot of us have realized that like we need to consume less, we need to share more, we need to plan for a future where we are closer to the earth, where we are, you know, more aligned with old ways of doing things. And part of what comes next for us as we fight for the right to exist and thrive is to not forget that it's on behalf of all of
Mm-hmm.
us and our descendants and the people that come next and the babies and the children, like, and the people all over the world. Like, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting, it's gonna be an interesting 13 years.
But I think it's going to be exactly what is needed. Um, there was, I think there's been a lot of discussions about maybe this was for the best, um, because of the feelings that some people have towards people of color, brown people, women. And back in like around these times, like women's rights was women voting was like a conversation, and we kind of have more women's rights. I'm excited that Pluto is an Aquarius because I think of all of the things that would chill out Neptune and Aries, for lack of a better term, but makes more sense is that the collective is going to out outrule the individual, and like the individual self-interest, people are going to look at you weird. They're going to be like, that's how you feel.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm noticing. A lot of people are, as Cassie and I have been talking about this for months, especially when Pluto moved into Aquarius. Find your community, get close to your community, because the reality is if we do have a very tense couple of years coming up with Neptune moving into Aries, if it's any reflection of the Civil War, you're going to need your community. It's, you may not be able to kind of go from state to state. I mean, there's just, we don't know. And I'm not saying this to like fearmonger. I'm saying realistically, it is a really good idea to really start to enmesh yourself in your local community, because y'all are going to be the ones making sure that your community is good. And I would say, look for people in your community, especially single moms or anybody that that's going to need extra help. I say, people may not agree with me, bring back bartering. Like, you know, we are moving away from the Pluto and we've moved away from Pluto and Capricorn, where it was very like money, material, capitalistic, and the collective is shared. It's almost like shared values, shared resources, which there is enough to go around. Full stop. There has always been enough to go around. Hoarding resources for nothing is just, it's that is going to be looked down upon. Nobody better be going to the grocery stores buying up all the toilet paper no more. That's of the past. Focus on your collective and community. And you know that's all I got for this. That's all I really,
Yeah.
you
And I
know
mean,
I
you know, that was very well said and all true. And like, again, kind of emphasizing like we're not trying to fearmonger, but also like just because things have been this way our lives are a very small drop in the bucket of time. And like, we do not know what is going to happen. And you look at the gross incompetence of some of our leadership and wonder what happens if a tornado hits your community? Do you expect that they're going to be there to fix it? What if tornadoes hit a lot of different communities at the same time? Because I don't know, global climate change is making disasters happen faster and more frequently. Like, do we think they're capable of dealing with these challenges? And if they
Mm,
aren't, you have to be.
mm.
And if you, even you, that's the thing, you don't have to be, but like your community can be. And all of our ancestors dealt with way more difficult shit over thousands of years of history going back. Like, we can do it. We everything we need to survive, we have. We just need to maintain connection, stay rooted and grounded in our community and with the people we love, and do our best, you know?
And they were dealing with all that with way less resources. They didn't have no Wi-Fi. They didn't have no grocery stores. They didn't have no
No
ATM
cell
cards.
towers.
Look, girl. So, we got to get real. And I'm talking to you millennial Gen Xers because it's really, you know, our later years that we are trying to fight for.
Mm-hmm.
And our
Mm-hmm.
children's future, really.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, enjoy this Aries new moon on Saturday. Um, I think that, you enjoy it, have fun, but I
Let
wouldn't make
go.
any big plans. I would
Eclipse.
really assess how you're feeling on that new moon, and kind of look at your community and look at yourself in relation to your community and how where you fit or don't. But we want to celebrate Aries folks, as always. We are hitting our celebrity check-in because it is Aries season, and these Aries, boy, when you hear these folks, you're gonna be like, them some Aries, girl. Cassie, who you got first?
All right, so my first Aries is a icon, diva, a the queen of Christmas, possibly by trademark. I believe she may have actually filed for a trademark on that term. I'm talking about Mariah Carey.
Yes.
Um, multi many times over platinum selling artist. She was voted Rolling Stone like in the top 5 singers of all time. She becomes a billionaire again every year at Christmas because they play Everybody Streams All I Want for Christmas Is You 100,000 times, and she just collects money off of that. Good for her. And I love Mariah Carey. I mean, I of course I'm a boomer zennial, so I adored Mariah Carey growing up, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, all of it. It's excellent, fun music, but also I love that she fought to retain the publishing rights to her own music, and um, you know that was an exceedingly smart move from a business standpoint and very Aries energy. I just feel like it's
Because
that no, I'm singing my songs.
her husband was Tommy Mottola. He was not a very kind individual.
No.
Um,
And I found I when I googled her to see what she's up to lately, I saw that she is stepping out with Anderson Paak, Aquarius, 16 years her junior. So good for
that's
her.
girl, get it. Cher
Mm-hmm.
did it, and Cher, that dude was like 20, 30 years her.
Yeah.
Yes, Mariah. That's cute. I like that. I actually
Mm-hmm.
really like that. And we see
Mm-hmm.
Mariah has a tech.
Better fit than
Anyway.
right.
Well, you know what? Let's let's make this connection, right? Because the bestie to Mariah, she is a 90s hip hop royalty icon. She is so functified from the SOSOD family. Okay. Um, and I personally, as a queer Black woman in America, love to see her and her wife, who is also an Aquarius, live their best life and raise their son true. Okay. The one and only Debrat. I don't even want to give you her government because y'all don't deserve that. That that lady is living her best life, and she exudes Aries energy as like within the childlike quality of Aries energy. That's like one of my favorite things about Aries is like to them, everything is brand motherfucking new. Like it's just they light up and they still have that mischievous, like childlike quality about them. So the brat, shout out to you, brat tat tat tat. Go ahead.
Oh, excellent. My next, because he is a queen. I don't care if he's a straight white man, so rarely finds a place on our show, but he is one of the few that deserves to show up. Current governor of the great state of Minnesota, and former vice presidential candidate in the timeline that we all wish we were in. But I'm speaking of Tim Walz, if that wasn't obvious. I mean, America fell in love with Tim Walz, I think, during the 2024 election campaign. And again, whatever, like what the use is, the exercise of thinking about what could have been, but like imagining he and Vice President Harris actually having a year or a year and a half together to be out on the road and campaign instead of like trying to put together a campaign in 3 months, you have to imagine that he would have even endeared himself more to the American public, because it's like every single time you see this man anywhere, he's just more lovable. But I very much enjoy that what he is doing now is going to Republican districts where their representatives will not show up for town halls and holding them. Both in Minnesota and some of the neighboring, like Wisconsin, he's been to, like the states nearby, to talk to people and figure out like what's going on. And I mean, people speculate like, he might be thinking about running in 2028 in the primary. God bless us, we have elections in 2028. Who the fuck knows? I think that's very optimistic, but like, sure, like, okay, he's one of many voices that I would be interested to hear from. And again, one of the few straight white men that maybe I would cast a vote for. Like, I can't imagine in a primary supporting him. No offense, Tim, I love you, but like, there's got to be women and women of color who are going to be on that stage, and I just am not. It's whatever. Anyway, but still, do your thing. I love
Thanks
that.
for
Get out, talk to your
participating.
voters. Yes. Like, and if all the other people get together and decide you're then sure, like, I'm here for it. But I'm glad to see more politicians stepping up. I don't think politicians are going to save us in this moment, but it's still nice to see.
And my next one. She is a 70s R&B soul funk diva, who is currently hosting. She is a Grammy Award winner, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, and she is leading spiritual meditations during the new and full moons on social media. And I am talking about Shaka Khan. There is this woman has been around for so long and just amazing, beautiful. I love her song "Sweet Thing." Ooh, listen, you ain't really gotten down to business if you ain't listening to no Shaka Khan, and I'm gonna leave it on that note. And we are going to come to our final person. Drum roll, please, but y'all should already know because we talk about her all the time. From the 30th Congressional District in Texas, none other than who is it, Cassie?
Representative Jasmine Crockett.
That's what we talking about. She stay on their necks. That's all I really got to say. Oh, the only other thing, and I'll let Cassie talk, but I just looked this up. She lost the initial in the primary in that congressional election. She lost it in 2020, but won the runoff against the incumbent, and that's how she became elected. I was like, boop. So yeah,
Interesting.
right.
Um, yeah. So maybe the one politician who could save us might be Jasmine Crockett, to be honest with you. Like she does. She stays on their neck. She doesn't give a fuck. She's got the attorney general making sideways comments about her, saying fuck Elon Musk. Guess what? Fuck Elon Musk. Like she's allowed to say that. He's not.
And
Who is
Tesla.
he? Who is this man? Like
Mm-hmm.
who? Like what?
That part. We're not gonna talk about him. We don't want to give him no more
No.
time.
And she's an incredible, litigator and now representative. Um, she's somebody who should be platformed more by the Democratic Party. I think it was an unfortunate and not surprising at all decision when they chose not to place her in the chairperson role on. I think she's on the Judiciary Committee and maybe Homeland Security. I don't remember. I know she's also on the Doge Oversight Committee, and then Alexandria Ocasio Cortez was also going for a chair position. And it's like, there's not much the Democrats can do when they're in the minority in both chambers. But like one thing is the chair people tend to get more like airtime. But fuck it. Both of them said, we're going to be great at what we do. And Jasmine Crockett, especially, is just so savvy in this moment. She knows how to get her voice heard. She knows how to break through the noise. She is genuine. You can tell she means what she says. She speaks like a real person. And I think I would be honored to be represented by her. I hope her constituents feel honored to be represented by her because she is the best of what politicians can offer.
For sure. All right, we're gonna run this down and wrap this up real quick. We have find us on the socials. We tell you this every week. You already know. We're not even gonna tell you. And two things. One, this is allergy tea in case y'all got something to say. Okay. And if you don't, just letting you know, I do allergy tea. That's just what I do. All right. So we are kicking it, rocking it with the Crystal Sound Healing Oracle deck, art by Suzeborn, and this is by Geraldine Glass. This was a birthday present from, of course, the lovely Cassie to myself. It does have the sound bowl, but I did not going to add that part. But I hope everybody has a great new moon. Take this energy and this card with you throughout the rest of your weekend. And when Neptune steps into Aries on Sunday, and we're gonna see you at the Libra full moon. But until then, find your community, and you don't have to, you know, channel your anger, you know, in the best way. And if you gotta cuss somebody out, sometimes people deserve to get cussed out. Whenever you're ready, my dear, whenever you're ready. She says, pink tourmaline, compassion, clearing wounds, restore. What?
Ooh,
Did we just,
okay.
did we just, did we just, did we just, did we just,
Mm-hmm.
did we just?
Mm-hmm.
Of course we did. Okay. 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 All right. Alchemy message. It is if the sound of pink tourmaline bowl whispered its way into your life today, it's reminding you to be gentle and compassionate with yourself and others. These clearing vibrations are activating your purpose, your life purpose with great love. They are helping you free the heart from trauma and pain, resentments, and regrets. The wounds of the past are healing, your heart is becoming lighter, and your energies are being restored. Sighing a sigh of release, you become a vessel to amplify love. What has been heavy on your heart no longer weighs you down. What does this card mean for you? The wounds that have limited you are healing through the clearing sound frequencies of pink tourmaline, and you are entering a state of inner peace. You can look at past experiences through the lens of compassion, generating a softness that allows space for forgiveness and the restoration of pure love. The alchemy mantra. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Imagine that you are inhaling from your heart center and that your whole torso expands when you exhale. As you let your shoulders roll backwards and down, notice how your chest and rib cage expand. Become aware of the resilience that the vibrations of gentleness and compassion create in your heart. Gather the power that now rests in your chest. Breathe in and release the breath completely, speaking the mantra out loud or silently. I am compassion. I am healing old wounds and freeing myself from the past. I restore myself and it feels so good. I am creator. I see the bigger picture of my life. I understand that all is in divine order. Girl, it'd be right on time, never late.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So y'all can see that. And then I know. Eventually we'll get it to, oh, there we go. Finally figured it out. There we go. Compassion,
Beautiful.
clearing moods, restore. And it's number 22. We like a master number here on the Zodiac
Mm-hmm.
chat line.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was couldn't have had a better message. I hope y'all have a great rest of your weekend. And that's it. We're gonna just leave it at that because I feel like that was all we needed to say. So it's all love, y'all. We out of here. I love you, Cassie, as always.
I love you.